It's the 77 WABC News Hour.
Talking the news with Noah Layden.
All the news you need to know with Joe Nolan, traffic, Justin Ellick, sports. And now,
Talking the news with Noah
on 77 WABC.
Yes, that's me. 5 o'clock. Good morning. It is Tuesday, October 21st. Your forecast from the 77 WABC Weather Center. Sunshine today, high 70. Tonight and overnight rain, low 57. And then Wednesday, sun and clouds, high 65. If you're walking out the door with us right now, it's 49 and clear in Dobbs Ferry up in Westchester County, 50 and clear in Hackensack over in New Jersey, and it's 49 and clear right outside our Midtown studios.
This is the Top 5 at 5.
Curtis makes it clear he's not going anywhere. There was another failed vote on the shutdown. Who left a newborn infant in Penn Station? A lot of Republicans unhappy that George Santos is walking free. A coyote on the attack in one New Jersey town. All right, let's get into it at 5:01. Let's actually start with the fact that Amazon Web Services says it finally has resolved those widespread internet outages that caused all kinds of issues with scores of popular websites. Yesterday, maybe you had problems getting on to, it's endless how many websites were having issues yesterday, including Amazon. As Mitch McCann reports, all AWS services are back up and running again.
Known as AWS, the platform allows businesses to rent computer power, storage and tools over the internet. Companies can avoid paying for their own hardware and instead use Amazon's cloud-based system.
The disruptions affected just this long list of online services. Throw in Venmo, Microsoft Outlook, Zoom, Snapchat, Lyft, even the news product we use here at 77 WABC. It went out at about 10:58 yesterday morning, 2 minutes or a minute before I was set to do the newscast. And I dare you to find any disruption with my news, even though I lost my script about 2/3 of the way through that newscast. But everything's up and running this morning, so we're all A-OK. In Midtown yesterday, just this awful accident. 10 people injured, 1 critically, in a chain reaction crash involving a box truck and a parked van. This was on around 4 o'clock in the afternoon, 8th Avenue between West 29th and 30th Street. A Ryder box truck, those small little box trucks, it was traveling up 8th Avenue, and then it hit the back of a parked van on 30th Street. That van slammed forward into people. 8 pedestrians were hurt. 2 people in that truck hurt as well. Lots of eyewitnesses, as you might guess. 4 p.m. on 30th Street and 8th Avenue, right near Penn Station. Pretty busy.
The van just parked. The people got out the van. Next thing you know, that Ryder van came and smacked it. It almost hit us, but it did knock this one dude. It knocked his shoe off, so his shoe was on the other side.
It's one of those things where you think, was the guy looking at his cell phone in the moments before that crash took place? I guess investigators will try to figure that out. The impact forced the van to skid forward about 30 feet. The only thing that stopped it from going even further was one of those Link New York Station terminals, the ones where I think you can charge your phones on those. It stopped the van. And so, but in the process, one woman was temporarily pinned between the van and the building. Bystanders, I will say, they rushed to help everybody involved, including a parking attendant nearby. He called 911.
I can see this car coming off onto the sidewalk, and he hit a woman, and she flew into the building.
She was just saying yes and shaking her head. So she was okay, but she didn't walk. Did nobody walk away from this? They all got put in the stretcher.
Police say that 8 of the injured are going to be okay. 1 is still in critical condition this morning. The others, they described it as non-life-threatening injuries. Don't know who's in the hospital, who's out. But 2 occupants of that box truck taken to the hospital to be checked out. So far, there are no charges against the driver. Now, this is a complete guess on my part, but the way this van truck smacked into this van made me think that this guy was maybe looking at his phone and not at the highway or the roadway when that accident happened. But I'm sure police will be able to figure that out. 5:04, the NYPD searching for the mom who abandoned her newborn baby yesterday in a subway station underneath Penn Station. Baby girl found by riders wrapped in a blanket, her umbilical cord still attached. This was, that station right under Herald Square at 34th and 7th Avenue.
It's devastating to hear. It breaks my heart.
The baby did survive, so that is a gracious thing. Unfortunately, there are times that the babies don't survive.
Yeah, the newborn had been placed on a staircase leading to the platform of the southbound 1, 2, and 3 train.
Sad because I'm pregnant, so that's sad. I don't know. Maybe she's going through something, but that's not a reason to throw out your baby.
Yeah, so police say she was conscious, the infant, alert, stable, when they found her at Bellevue Hospital for observation yesterday while police search for the mom. So far, at least as of 5:05 this morning, no news that they had found her. Now, New York's safe haven law, that allows a parent to leave a baby at a safe location, a subway not being one of them, of course, but think like hospital, police station, or firehouse. 5:05, the owner and operator of 77 WABC, also a billionaire, John Catsimatidis, one of the wealthiest men in New York City, yesterday called on Republican Curtis Sliwa, also his radio boss, by the way, to drop out of the race for mayor to try to stop socialist Zohran Mamdani from winning the race.
Curtis has to realize that he should love New York more than anything else. And it certainly looks like that Curtis should pull out right now. We cannot take a chance.
That was John on with Sid and Friends in the Morning yesterday. So this after a new AARP poll came out on Monday that showed Zohran Mamdani and former Governor Andrew Cuomo running neck and neck if Curtis were to back out of the race. The poll found Cuomo would be in striking distance of defeating Mamdani. Here was Curtis responding to all this yesterday.
I'm not dropping out. I have support. I have 11 headquarters. I have volunteers everywhere, signs galore. I don't see any Cuomo signs. And plus, I have a get out the vote effort, which is what you need to win elections.
That didn't stop Andrew Cuomo for appearing just about everywhere yesterday, telling Curtis to get out.
I believe you're going to see Curtis's vote collapse. We went through this in the primary. He's not a viable candidate. He's not going to win. People don't waste their vote in an election like this. So I think you'll see a natural compression.
And then Zohran Mamdani, who is the front runner in this race, as you might guess for this one as well, he really loves all this tension on asking Curtis to drop out.
We have a little over 2 weeks left until the general election. And Andrew Cuomo is spending more time pleading with another candidate to drop out than making his case to New Yorkers as to why he would be the next mayor. And the reason for that is he doesn't have much of an agenda.
Okay, Election Day exactly now, 2 weeks away. WABC News Time 5:09. Over the weekend, President Trump commuted the sentence of George Santos. He's walking a free man, one New Yorker there. Now another New Yorker, Sean Diddy, he could have his sentence commuted as well.
TMZ reports that Trump is mulling the decision, although White House staff are urging Trump not to. Diddy is serving a 50-month prison sentence on 2 interstate prostitution convictions. Trump commuted the sentence of former Congressman George Santos Friday. Andrew Whitman, NBC News Radio, New York.
Verdicts reached yesterday in the trial of 3 former New York prison guards charged in connection to the death of an inmate.
The guards were accused of being involved in the brutal beating death of inmate Robert Brooks at a facility in Utica last December.
As to count 1, murder in the 2nd degree, what is the jury's verdict? Guilty.
One of the men, David Kingsley, was found guilty while the other 2 were exonerated. Kingsley now faces 25 years to life in prison. Lisa Ritchie, 77 WABC News.
Down to Atlanta at 5:10. Police have arrested a man at Atlanta's Hartsfield-Jackson International Airport for allegedly threatening to shoot up what is now the world's busiest airport. This took place yesterday. Here's the Atlanta Police Chief Darren Shirebaum.
We have taken in custody and have under arrest a Billy Cagle, age 49, resident of Cartersville, Georgia.
Now, in this case, the police chief says it was the family of Cagle who alerted police release of his intentions, so cops were waiting for him. They located an AR-15 rifle in his vehicle parked outside the airport.
That he was streaming on social media, that he was headed to the airport, in their words, to shoot it up. And the family stated that he was in possession of an assault rifle.
Yeah, thank God they alerted the cops to what was to take place, and the police were able to stop it. They arrested Cagle inside the airport. He's facing multiple charges, now has a previous felony conviction, and is reportedly has been experiencing mental episodes recently. 5:11, former President Biden has reportedly finished a round of radiation therapy for prostate cancer.
A Biden spokesperson told CBS News that Biden completed several weeks of the treatment Monday at a hospital in Philadelphia. Biden's office announced earlier this month that he was undergoing a new phase of treatment for an aggressive form of prostate cancer. The former president turns 83 next month. I'm Mark Mayfield.
Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem talking about her agency's immigration enforcement efforts. She says DHS has arrested over 480,000 criminal illegal aliens since President Trump took office back in January.
70% of those individuals have criminal charges against them or have been convicted of those criminal charges.
One of the cases involves a man from El Salvador who was in the U.S. for a third time after being deported twice.
Since January, the Department of Homeland Security has arrested over 480,000 criminal illegal aliens.
And Noem says she's coming out with these stats because she says coverage of protests against ICE is drowning out the stories of Americans who've been victimized by criminals in the country illegally.
They're not covering the victims anymore that we've lost because of these crimes. They're not covering the individuals that have been brought to justice. Instead, they're trying to demonize our law enforcement officers.
And the head of Homeland Security confirming that their next mass deportation effort will target Northern California.
We're going into San Francisco at the direction of the president.
President Trump over the weekend said that he had unquestioned power to deploy the National Guard to California, San Francisco in particular.
Make sure that law enforcement officers in every single community get the chance to continue to get these criminals off of their streets.
So Noem, following the president's orders, will be working with the Bay Area cops to target illegal immigrant criminals.
We continue to have targeted operations in many, many cities.
And there's plenty of reaction after Border Patrol agents conducted immigration enforcement targeting rideshare drivers at O'Hare in Chicago, the airport. This driver says the agents were not looking for anyone specific, but were asking everyone whether they were a U.S. citizen.
If they're really going for hard criminals or something, they should do is go strictly to them, not just pulling all over and just going all over the place and just grabbing people from left and right.
11 people detained in the airport parking lot. Border Patrol authorities say they arrested illegal aliens from Colombia, Mexico, Poland, Mongolia, Russia, and Venezuela, among other places. The detainees were reportedly accused of crimes including domestic battery, DUI, and visa overstay. And the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals has ruled President Trump can deploy National Guard troops to Portland now.
Under the ruling, the justices said presidential determinations are not reviewable by federal courts. The Court of Appeals lacks the power to issue injunctive relief. The city of Portland could not show any injury since the troops had not been deployed, and the president acted lawfully because the response was proportionate to the events in Portland. I'm Brad Ford.
One more immigration story. Los Angeles Mayor Karen Bass, Long Beach Congressman Robert Garcia holding a press conference yesterday announcing an investigation to what they call illegal and unconstitutional raids on Latinos in L.A.
And so today I want to announce that the House Oversight Committee Democrats are going to record and create an investigative unit here to ensure that in Los Angeles we look into every single brutal misconduct that ICE is committing.
He says those detainees are being denied their constitutional right to due process.
We said at that time that LA was being used as the laboratory and that the egregious, unconstitutional behavior from our federal government was going to start here and spread around the country.
Bass calls the raids on Angelenos, undocumented or not, egregious behavior by the federal government. In a moment, we'll head overseas to the Middle East, where Vice President J.D. Vance is in Jerusalem today. But first, 5:15, let's head over to the 77 WABC Sports Desk. Good morning, Justin Allen.
Good morning to you, Noam Layden. Start with a Monday Night Football recap here. Final from Detroit Lions running roughshod on the Buccaneers, 24-9. Both teams move to 5-2 on the year. And out in Seattle, the Seahawks beat the Texans 27-19. So we're moving on here. Week 7 officially wrapped up, already into Week 8 in the NFL. And to the Diamond, your final from Toronto. Blue Jays beating the Mariners 4-3. Huge home run from George Springer sends Toronto into the World Series. They win the ALCS 4-3, obviously, in decisive Game 7 last night. World Series Game 1 will come Friday night in Toronto. It's the Blue Jays against the Dodgers in your Fall Classic this year. To the ice at MSG, Rangers dropped to 3-4-1 on the young season after a 3-1 loss to the Minnesota Wild. Artemi Panarin scored for the Rangers, who fell to 0-4-0 at home this season. Igor Shesterkin finished with 29 saves. The Panarin goal was New York's first at home after they were shut out in the first 3 games at Madison Square Garden. Up next for the Rangers, they'll host the San Jose Sharks come Thursday night. Tonight on the ice, it's a doubleheader for the Devils and the Islanders. Both pucks will drop at 7 p.m. Devils are up north in Toronto against the Maple Leafs, and the Islanders will welcome in those aforementioned Sharks. And we'll head to the hardwood here. It's officially the start of the NBA season tonight. 7:30 p.m. tip-off between the Rockets and the Thunder out in OKC. That's your season opener right before the Warriors and the Lakers will get going out west. That's a 10 p.m. tip-off between Golden State and LA. And then tomorrow night, locally, we'll get underway here. 7 p.m. tip between our New York Knicks at MSG and the Cleveland Cavaliers. That should be 2 of your front runners in the Eastern Conference all season. And as for the Nets, they will get going out in Charlotte against the Hornets, also at 7 p.m. That is your Sports Gnome, and I'm Justin Ellick on 77 WABC.
WABC News Time 5:19. Let's head down to the White House. President Trump says the Australian Prime Minister is doing a fantastic job. He welcomed Anthony Albanese to the White House yesterday to finalize a deal to acquire Australia's rare and critical minerals.
We've had a very good relationship. We've been working on that for quite a while. In about a year from now, we'll have so much critical mineral and rare earths that you won't know what to do with them.
The president says the U.S. has been a long ally of Australia, and the two discussing joint security in the Indo-Pacific region.
We've been long-time allies, and I would say there's never been anybody better. We fought wars together. We never had any doubts.
And Australian Prime Minister Anthony Albanese heaping praise on the president in the U.S.
We are great friends and we're great allies. And this is a relationship that's been forged in the battlefields of the world. We have stood side by side for freedom and democracy.
It is the first informal meeting between those two leaders. The president also saying yesterday he's hopeful a trade deal can be struck with China. The president and President Xi Jinping set to meet later this month in South Korea.
I think China's been very respectful of us. They're paying tremendous amounts of money to us as in the form of tariffs. As you know, they're paying 55%. That's a lot of money.
The president continues to say that the U.S. has been treated unfairly by the Chinese when it comes to trade and tariffs. He threatened a new 100% hike on Chinese imports when the pause on reciprocal tariffs between the two countries ends in November.
China's paying 55% and a potential 155% come November 1st unless we make a deal. And I'm meeting with President Xi. We have a very good relationship. We're going to be meeting in South Korea in a couple of weeks. And we'll see what we can do. I expect we'll probably work out a very fair deal with President Xi of China.
And China and the U.S., they've been involved in this trade standoff since President Trump took office back in January. And while we're talking about things overseas, Vice President J.D. Vance touching down in Israel this morning against the backdrop of repeated Hamas violations of President Trump's brokered ceasefire in the Gaza Strip. Vance expected to meet with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and other senior officials in Jerusalem. Here's correspondent Matt Bradley, who's in Tel Aviv.
We're seeing Donald Trump's main envoy, his son-in-law, Jared Kushner, and Steve Witkoff are in Israel. And actually, it sounds as though they're going to be meeting with some family members of those remaining slain hostages. Both sides have said they are going to continue to observe this ceasefire. And the Israelis have said that they're going to continue to allow aid into the Gaza Strip through the Kerem Shalom crossing and other crossings. So it looks as though despite this real rattling of this ceasefire, that it looks as though we're actually going to see it continue. And this is obviously a major concern to the United States and the Trump administration, who really took the lead in negotiating this.
But the president again said yesterday there will be no U.S. troops in Gaza to help Israel.
The president was asked about that possibility after there have been deadly clashes between Israeli troops and Hamas. The clashes took place just days after both sides signed phase one of Trump's peace plan. At the White House, Trump said U.S. troops, quote, won't be on the ground at all, end quote. I'm Jim Roop.
Yeah, so the first phase of the ceasefire deal approved by Israel and Hamas calls for the return of the remains of all 28 dead Israeli hostages. But so far, 16 of those bodies remain in Gaza. Israel says that's a clear violation of the deal. Hamas said it would take significant efforts to recover the remaining bodies from the destruction in Gaza. 5:23, let's bring it back home down to Florida, where the FBI is leading the investigation into a suspicious hunting stand that was found right near Palm Beach Airport. That's where President Trump exits Air Force One when he goes back home for stays or weekends. Here's correspondent Garrett Hake.
A spokesperson for the Secret Service says agents discovered the stand last Thursday, before Mr. Trump's arrival in Florida Friday. A senior official familiar with the investigation said the stand was about 200 yards away from an area where Air Force One does not normally park.
But it did park there on Friday because of construction. Secret Service confirms the hunting stand had a direct line of sight to the landing area for Air Force One. Security teams, they didn't find any but the location, but they identified what they called items of interest.
The plane did park there on Friday due to construction. 3 sources familiar with the matter say the suspicious stand may have been there for months, and investigators are now looking at several possibilities, including whether it's an old hunting stand, a perch used by a photographer, or a possible threat. President Trump back at the White House after a weekend trip to Florida. The FBI investigating a suspicious hunting stand found in a tree near Palm Beach International.
I think we heard that already. All right, 5:24. The government shutdown, it continues. The Senate voted 50-43 yesterday against a House-passed resolution to reopen the government. It marks the 11th failed attempt, if I'm not mistaken. Republicans are accusing Democrats of holding the country hostage by not voting for a funding plan that would restart the government. Congressman Chip Royce from Texas says they will not back down in the battle over Obamacare subsidies. That's what's holding us up.
We're not for health care for illegal aliens, but for standing up for American citizens to be able to afford health care.
Texas Republican claimed his political opponents wanted to keep the government closed in order to fuel this past weekend's No Kings rallies across the country. He suggested that the event was funded by those who wanted to promote communism and socialism in America.
Meanwhile, it is Democrats who have been holding the American people hostage to an unconscionably broken healthcare system that they themselves created. This is the dying breaths of a bankrupt party, in my humble opinion.
Yeah, so far, nothing getting done with this shutdown. 5:25. Molson Coors says it's going to cut jobs over the last few months of this year.
The beverage company announced it's cutting 9% of its workforce, or around 400 positions, and the cuts will affect Golden, Colorado, and Milwaukee. There are about 2,000 workers in each location. The company says not all 400 positions will be layoffs. Some open positions won't be filled, and some cuts will be achieved through voluntary severance packages. The cuts are expected to be completed by the end of the year. I'm Rob Dawson.
Now less than 1,000 days until the start of the 2028 Olympics. And part of the Olympics, and I guess I wasn't paying attention that closely, are being held in Oklahoma City. Am I the last one to know this? So yesterday they were celebrating the fact that some of the events will take place in Los Angeles, actually the vast majority of them, but the other ones in Oklahoma City.
We're about to bring the Olympic Games back to America for the first time in 30 years. And there are only 2 cities who will host Olympic events in their entirety: Los Angeles and Oklahoma City.
So some of the events Oklahoma City will host include the canoe slalom and softball events.
You'll have the rings. You'll have an Olympic flame, as we talked about. And that is a special club to join, and I can't wait to be here to celebrate with you. We have a shared journey between these 2 great cities that are connected maybe in more ways than any of us fully appreciated. And we are excited to be on that journey with the people of Oklahoma.
Yeah, that's Casey Wasserman, who is the Oklahoma City chair of the 2028 Olympics.
It's the 77 WABC News Hour.
Talking the news with Noam Laden.
All the news you need to know with Joe Nolan, traffic, Justin Ellick, sports. And now,
Talking the news with Noam
on 77 WABC.
Yes, that's me. Good morning. It is Tuesday, October 21st. That's my wedding anniversary. Oh, geez. I better go out and buy something. 24 years today. Your forecast from the 77 WABC Weather Center. Sunshine today, high 70. Tonight and overnight, rain, low 57. And then Wednesday, sun and clouds, high 65. If you are walking out the door with us right now, so happy you are. 49 clear in Dobbs Ferry up in Westchester County. 50 and clear in Hackensack over in New Jersey. And it's 49 and clear right outside our Midtown studios. 537, traffic, transit on the 7s. Here's Joe Nolan.
Then you better start planning for next year there, pal.
Yeah.
25, that's a big one.
25 is huge, and, you have to acknowledge all of them, of course. So.
Right. Oh, absolutely. Oh, no doubt. But next year, you better start planning that now.
Yeah, 25 is huge.
Yep.
If I make it there.
Yeah, well, there is that.
WABC News Time 5:38. The question is following Curtis Sliwa wherever he goes, and the answer is always the same. But the pressure on the Republican nominee to quit the race has never been greater. This after a new poll finds that if Curtis were to drop out, Andrew Cuomo has a shot, just a shot, of beating Zohran Mamdani. This AARP shows if Curtis drops out of the race, Zohran Mamdani just has a 4-point lead over Andrew Cuomo. Now, Zohran Mamdani, he was speaking out about this poll yesterday, and he thinks that Curtis should stay in the race until the end. I wonder why he feels that way.
And that is one place where Curtis and I agree, which is that it's time for New Yorkers to make this decision, not for billionaire donors to determine who gets to run in this city.
So your advice to Sliwa is stay in the race?
My advice to him is continue to make his own case.
And for the first time, Sliwa's boss, who also happens to be my boss, John Catsimatidis, making this urgent public appeal on Sid and Friends in the morning yesterday for his own radio host to get out of the race.
Curtis has to realize that he should love New York more than anything else. And it certainly looks like that Curtis should pull out right now. We cannot take a chance.
Catsimatidis insists that many in the city's business community really worried at the prospect of a socialist mayor in Zohran Mamdani. And then you had Andrew Cuomo. He went on Fox News yesterday trying to appeal to Sliwa's Republican voters and unloading on Curtis Sliwa in the process.
He's really a shock jock on local radio. He's never been in government. He has no relevant experience, but he does take a certain number of votes, and to that extent, he is a spoiler. I believe he's ultimately irrelevant.
I think Andrew Cuomo doesn't get it. If you call him all those names, he's just going to stay in the race to poke you in the eye. But that's not what Curtis thinks, by the way. Curtis thinks, hey, I'm legitimately here as the Republican nominee, so I'm not getting out.
The billionaires can conspire to pick their candidate. They failed with Cuomo the first time. They ran over to Eric Adams, and now they've run back to Andrew Cuomo. I trust the people. They'll make the decision. I'm not dropping out.
And there's more signs that the Jewish community here in New York is very worried about a Zohran Mamdani in City Hall. The rabbi of another prominent synagogue slamming Zohran Mamdani is a danger to the security of New York's Jewish community. Now, you don't normally hear rabbis talking from the pulpit politics like this specific. Rabbi Elliot Cosgrove, he is the head of the renowned Park Avenue Synagogue on the Upper East Side, and he is now calling on members of his congregation to vote for Andrew Cuomo. And he says the reason he's asking them to vote for Andrew Cuomo is he's sort of on the side of John Catsimatidis, that a vote for Curtis Sliwa guarantees Zohran Mamdani election. But he goes further to say that he says Mamdani refuses to denounce the phrase globalize the Intifada, and he says he continues to deny Israel's legitimacy as a Jewish state. And he says those are two reasons he now believes Zohran Mamdani is a danger to the Jewish community in New York City. He says he normally never talks politics in this sort of specific way, but he says the moment calls for it right now. 542. Students across New York City could lose their rides to school next month if a possible bus strike happens.
The union, representing some 12,000 school bus drivers, says they won't be behind the wheel November 1st without a new deal. Private bus companies notified the state labor department on Monday that unless a citywide panel approves a new deal by the close of business on Halloween, they'll have to lay off the drivers. The last deal expired this summer. The drivers have been working under emergency extensions since. Student advocacy groups say complaints about bad and even no-show bus drivers are way up and want greater accountability. Andrew Whitman, NBC News Radio, New York.
Getting more details of this terrible story out on Long Island, where a security guard is on life support after being beaten up inside during his job at Mercy Hospital. He has worked as a police officer, as a guard at Rikers. He's at Mercy Hospital now. He was beaten by a patient so badly in the middle of last week that, I'll let his wife describe what took place.
My husband gave his entire life to law enforcement and saving people and serving the community. He belonged to someone. He belonged to us. He was defending someone else, coming to someone else's aid like he often did. I was told today that he has 90% brain damage and he will never wake up.
That's Gardy Coriolan's wife, Edward Lopez, charged with assault. Coriolan's family wants him to be charged with attempted murder, and for anyone else who attacks a hospital officer in New York to face all kinds of consequences.
I just feel that laws should be passed that if they're assaulting these hospital police, that they have some very stiff penalties. He did 20 years on Rikers Island and came out unscathed. He did 16 years with the Uniondale School District, unscathed.
Yeah, he was unarmed, usually working with either one other or alone, and they say that was part of the problem, is that they say this hospital did not have enough staffing in the security department.
One of his major concerns, and his exact words that he quoted to myself and leadership here at the hospital, was the shortage of staff here is going to get someone hurt or someone's going to die. And those were the exact words he told me. And now I'm living that.
The hospital and police say the investigation is ongoing. In a moment, we'll head out to New Jersey, where a coyote on the attack. We'll get into that story in just a moment. But first, 5:45, let's head over to the 77 WABC Sports Desk, and here's Justin Ella.
Thank you, Noam Layden. We'll start here with a Monday Night Football recap. Another doubleheader on the gridiron. Your final from Detroit: Lions beat up on the Buccaneers 24-9, and both teams leave Detroit 5-2. Out in Seattle, the Seahawks beat the Texans 27-19 thereafter. Head to the Diamond here, and speaking of Seattle, the Mariners lost to the Blue Jays 4-3 ALCS Game 7. So Toronto, they punch their ticket to the World Series. First time Toronto's been back to the Fall Classic since 1993. You'll remember Joe Carter. World Series Game 1, Friday night in Toronto, the Dodgers and the Blue Jays. Let's get this thing going.
Toronto has the home field advantage, huh?
You know it.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Come on now. Better record, Adam. Yeah, better regular season.
By the way, George Springer.
Oh, also a division winner. That's why. So the Dodgers didn't win their division.
Oh, that's right. George Springer is not related to Jerry Springer. I just looked it up while you were doing it. I was curious.
What are we gonna?
No relation.
What are we
Jerry
gonna?
Springer.
What are we gonna do with
I'm
you?
just curious. Maybe it's like his nephew or something, but no.
Yeah, maybe
grandnephew.
In what world? Like in what world? No, I'm letting. Don't you think you would know that already?
Probably. Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
All right. Head to MSG here. On the ice, the Rangers dropped to 3-4-1 on the young season after a 3-1 loss to the Minnesota Wild. Artemi Panarin scored for the Rangers, who fell to 0-4 at home this season. Igor Shesterkin finished with 29 saves. The Panarin goal was New York's first at home after they were shut out in their first 3 games at the Garden. Up next for the Rangers, they'll host the San Jose Sharks come Thursday night. Tonight on the ice, it's a doubleheader starting at 7 p.m. Both the Devils and the Islanders will get underway. Devils are up north in Toronto against the Maple Leafs, and the Islanders will welcome in the aforementioned Sharks. And to the hardwood, it is the official start of the NBA season tonight, 7:30 p.m. The Rockets and the Thunder will get things underway out in OKC, and later on tonight at 10 p.m. out west, it's the Warriors and the Lakers. And tomorrow night we'll get started here locally, our New York Knicks will welcome in the Cleveland Cavaliers. Big Eastern Conference matchup there to start the season. That's a 7 p.m. tip. And as for the Nets, they are going to be on Charlotte against the Hornets, also at 7. That is your Sports Now, man. I'm Justin Alec on 77 WABC.
WABC News Time 5:49. We told you yesterday about this awful accident in New Jersey. It took the lives of 4 teenagers, 4 families devastated after this crash, a head-on crash, New Jersey Turnpike. And now we know who the victims are, identified as Aaron Leibovich, Shlomo Cohen, Chaim Grossman, and Yaakov Kilberg. 3 of the victims are from Lakewood. New Jersey State Police, they were in this vehicle driving in Carneys Point Township. That's right near the Delaware Memorial Bridge when the driver of a truck went the wrong way on the turnpike and hit these teens head on. All 4 teenagers died. The driver of the other car, Neff, has serious injuries. The 4 were friends and classmates, having studied at a Jewish school together. People who knew them said they were great kids.
They were larger than life, tremendous energy. We loved it when they would come to our house. I mean, my kids loved it.
Not clear why Neff was driving the wrong way on the turnpike.
We believe there's an afterlife, and we believe that these young men are for sure in a really beautiful and sweet spot.
Yesterday, state police putting out a call for witnesses who may have seen the truck traveling the wrong way to contact them as they continue to investigate. So far, no charges have been announced against that driver going the wrong way. A Rutgers University fraternity facing suspension after a hazing incident left 1 student in critical condition.
Now an investigation's looking into whether unsafe living conditions contributed to the 19-year-old's condition. The student's identity has been withheld, and that person was found injured and unresponsive at Alpha Sigma Phi's off-campus house on College Avenue early in the morning last Wednesday. The university issued a cease and desist on the frat chapter hours later. News 12 New Jersey reporting the house has been condemned. But Alpha Sigma Phi's national representation says the Rutgers chapter had just gone through health and safety training last month. James Flippin for 77 WABC News.
While we're in New Jersey, a coyote attack yesterday. This was in Woodcliff Lake, which is in Bergen County. Surveillance video captures the attack of this coyote. So a woman's out with her golden retriever. The coyote comes out to attack the golden retriever. This woman steps in. She gets bitten. Thank God the coyote didn't do a whole lot of damage. But of course, the issue is, does this coyote have rabies? And now this woman has to deal with that.
That coyote really...
By the way, that beginning of sound was the attack. Yeah.
That coyote really attacked that woman. That coyote is probably rabid. So everyone in this neighborhood should be careful today.
So the dog's vet happens to live across the street and says the dog's okay. The homeowner says it was the housekeeper that was out with the dog, and that housekeeper all shaken up. Now have to undergo probably a month of rabies shots since the coyote was not caught. And of course, they just don't know at this point if the animal is rabid. Now, the fact that it was out in the middle of the day yesterday might tell you it was.
Coyote stalked that lady.
Very sad. They're great neighbors, and nobody should have to go through this.
So local police have reached out to New Jersey Fish and Wildlife while they caution homeowners not to leave anything edible outside that might tempt the wildlife to come near the house.
Keep pet food inside. Don't leave it outside. Keep your garbage cans locked. Again, clear any kind of heavy brush that's in the area because they like to hide in that. And bird feeders that knock off seed attract small animals, which attract coyotes.
In September, police euthanized a coyote after 2 people were attacked while walking their dogs in Saddle River, which is also, by the way, in Bergen County. From New Jersey up to Westchester, lots of drivers still waiting to retrieve their cars 5 days after that. Well, now it's 6 days after that partial garage collapse in White Plain. Car removals were postponed over the weekend, but they did resume yesterday morning. Now, it's not clear how many cars they got out yesterday or how many cars they'll be able to get out in the end, but there's lots of people still waiting to get their cars. In fact, one person was telling us that their car was trapped in the garage and they were set to get married and their marriage license was in the car. Now, firefighters were able to get that marriage license out, but not the car. Here were some people who were waiting, hoping to get their car back, including this couple who live in Florida, and, they want to, I guess, drive home.
And we just learned today that we're in the red zone and we can't get our car out. I have no idea how long I need to rent the vehicle for. I don't know if it's a day, a week, a month. I have no idea. And they weren't even 100% clear that even though the car's in good shape, that they can get the car out of the garage in one piece.
Now, we don't know yet why that partial garage collapse happened. The engineers are working to figure it all out. We reached out to find out how many cars are still stuck inside, how many are crushed. They would not give us a firm number on what the case is there. 554. Renters are now reacting to the high price of homes across the tri-state. WABC's Joe Connolly has more.
Barron's reports that young people shut out of the home buying market are spiffing up their long-term rentals for now. For instance, a 27-year-old city woman says she's been buying furniture because she can resell or move the items to her own home someday. The median age of first-time home buyers is 38 years old, the highest on record by far. President Trump may declare a national housing emergency to find ways of bringing the home ownership costs down. Joe Connolly, 77 WABC News.
WABC News time 555. There's been an arrest now after a group of Long Island middle school students ingested marijuana gummies.
The incident happened in May at William Packham Middle in Shirley. Nearly a dozen students, all 13 and 14, sent to the hospital after eating cannabis gummies in school. On Monday, Suffolk County Police arrested Jasheem Jones at his home in Mastic Beach. They say the 18-year-old sold gummies to a student who then gave them to 3 others. Jones is charged with endangering the welfare. He was given a desk ticket and a court date, then released. Andrew Whitman, NBC News Radio, New York.
George Santos had his sentence commuted by President Trump on Friday. He's walking a free man today. And Sid on Sid and Friends in the Morning did a great interview with him yesterday. Head on over to WABCRadio.com to hear that interview. And then everybody kind of responding to this yesterday. Lawmakers both sides of the aisle blasting President Trump's decision to commute Santos's prison sentence. And New Yorkers, well, they have kind of mixed reaction to it all.
I think the whole system is kind of upside down.
I got mixed feelings about that. I don't think he should have went in the first place.
I don't really care. People like that don't really have an effect on me.
Republican Staten Island Congresswoman Nicole Malliotakis disagreed with the commutation, called Santos a convicted con artist, while fellow lawmaker Nicola Lotus says Santos deserved a longer sentence than 3 months he served. Meantime, Democrat Robert Zimmerman, he's the one who lost to Santos back in 2022, called the decision lawless. Santos, who was originally supposed to serve 7 years in a New Jersey prison, was released Saturday, vowing he would use his second chance for prison reform. Okay.
I mean, that's what they do. It's quid pro quo, right? It's a part of life. There's nepotism, there's quid pro quo, there's a lot of stuff going on. So it is what it is.
It's hard to answer the bottom line to what goes on. There's underlining craziness, and there's no good answer to what's going on. It's horrible. The guy listened to him. I mean, why would you listen to him?
People make mistakes, and they deserve a second chance. He may not be able to run for politics again, but I wouldn't rule it out. I think he's a good person. He just made a bad decision.
Yeah, a lot of forgiveness there. I'm a little surprised.
Thanks for listening to the News Hour with Noam Laden. You can hear the News Hour with Noam Laden weekday mornings at 5 on 77 WABC. If you like the podcast, share it with your friends and listen anytime at WABCRadio.com and download the WABC Radio app. Hit that subscribe button on all major podcast platforms. Plus, follow WABC on social on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and X. See you next time for a new episode so you never have to wonder.
What the heck is going on here?